honeymooners. You're honeymoon.
I'm Arkin 40 with the guest today, Jack DeLorenzo. I got such a list of stuff he's done. It will be another 15 minutes to read through it. Went to school together. He has done everything from U.S. Army veteran, retired captain of the Detective Department of Hasbrook Heights PD, Board of Education president. 9 years as you were?
9 years, 3 terms.
9 years, 3 terms. He was a mayor for 2 terms in Hasbrook Heights, certified leadership coach, football coach, baseball coach, you name it. Great family man, great father, husband from what I know. I don't know, we'll talk about that with Tammy. But and a very, very dear friend of mine that I've been friends with since, 8 years old, 9 years old?
Little League.
Little League riding dirt bikes and just having a great time growing up in a small town, 2 miles long. And every year I go back up, we would always touch base and just always ran around the same circles and at different times. So welcome, Jack. And here you are at the Flower Pros podcast. And I know you were thinking, it's funny, we were laughing yesterday talking about Flower Pros. Jack, how does this all come together? And it's really about sports. We both love sports. We went to a lot of Yankee games, ball games together, spring training, and you know, being an avid sports fan, I kept saying that sports to me is what I try to instill in every flower shop. Once we went into technology, it used to be write your orders on a piece of paper, dozen roses, send to, card message, happy birthday, and then it's like, we're getting a computer. Well, with a computer, I can't bold it. I can't write all over it and circle it. You have to get used to organization. So what happened was my designers froze up. I don't know how to use a computer. I don't know what to do. So now you have to say, well, figure it out. That was me. Yeah. But then again, should we penalize them because they can't type? It's not fair. So what I had to learn to do was teach them to people would get hired to take orders. And although you knew your designer was the best order taker, they had to either design or learn how to type. So if they didn't know how to type, I just thought it'd be best to just basically bring in people that can take orders and then focus on designers designing. So what I was developing was a team, like baseball, right? You know, if you told everyone to go out and take your favorite position, everybody would probably be on the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's going to go in right field and who's going to go in left field? And so I started realizing that because I would hire somebody to do that. Then I hire a driver to make a delivery. Well, what happens when the guy's on the road and then somebody needs to have flowers delivered? Everyone's asking each other, what do we do? Who do we get? Who do we call? Now you need a dispatcher. So now you got a dispatcher, you got a phone person, then you have a buyer for flowers. You know, many florists don't have a buyer. They'll go, Art, you know, we're not that big. Well, it's not about being big. It's about preparing the footprint so you can be big and you can grow your business. That's how I looked at that. And when we're talking all the time, what we've been finding that we have in common, because Jack's new life now, which we'll talk about, is he is a coach. Tell us about the coaching business and how that came together with what I'm doing.
So I know we've been talking about it for years, especially after I retired from the police department. You always talk to me about thinking outside the box and staying in your strength zones, and working areas and things that you're good at. So I really believe growing up, we were taught how to be winners. And I think sports teach you a lot about life in general. You learn how to push yourself. You learn how to go further than you think you can go. You know what is required to be at the highest levels. And then when we talk about business, as you just mentioned with the team, you have to put together a team. And one of the good things or one of the positive things about being, when you're a leader that can see the whole vision like you always have. You've always been a path builder. You've always been the guy taking the lead. In my eyes, you've never been afraid. You always said, this is where I want to go, and how do I get there?
Right.
So you built the path for others to follow. You were successful in your own business personally, but then you became an industry leader because of that influence that you've had, because you're always looking, you're curious. You always want to see how you can improve it and do better. But having that vision and knowing where to put people in the right place.
That's the positions now, right?
Exactly.
And what happened was, as soon as I figured that out, Jack, everybody wanted to know what I did. How'd you do it? What'd you do this? What's this person do? What's that person do? How do you manage payroll? All these questions started to come up, and that's kind of how I got to be a voice in the industry because I was doing what every florist was hoping to do or thinking about doing in certain areas. Like somebody might want to do better in weddings. Another guy's going to say, I don't want to deal with weddings. I want to just deal with funerals. And then somebody else just wants to deal with walk-ins. And everybody's got different strengths, but I was hitting every single type of position you can have in the flower industry. And I was giving people, I was multitasking my staff, and then quickly I realized I needed to make a spreadsheet and come up with all the different positions. There's a book I read, E-Myth. Did you ever see the E-Myth? What a great book. When I was reading that, I put it down halfway through the book and I went out and made an organizational chart.
Yeah.
Because it was so important that everyone knows what their position is. So now, getting into digital like I have, I start talking to florists and business owners about what we're going to do. It's like, what are you going to do for us? All right, we're going to do this, this, and this. And right away they're thinking, well, then I won't need to hire someone in my store. I won't need to use this person. Or who can I get rid of to pay for you? I was like, the mistake they're making is you want to complement what I'm doing. So if you've got somebody in your store and that person knows whatever they know, nobody can know everything in digital. We're constantly working at it every day, but that's all we do every day. So you got somebody that impresses the owner. Usually it's because they know how to run a Facebook account. They log into Facebook and the owner's like, oh, I've got this genius. You know what they're looking for? Two things. Are they young? And does it look like they know what they're doing?
Right.
And they think right away, like, oh, my grandkids, my grandson or my grandson is going to be graduating school, and we're going to bring him into the flower shop. And he's going to take care of all that stuff that you do, so we won't need your services.
Yeah.
They call me up 6 months later. Can you please let me know what he's doing? We don't know how to measure it.
Well, there's an art to it, no pun intended, and also it's constantly changing. And that's where you've always been impressive. You're constantly changing. You evolve. You try and get ahead, and you're always looking. Even though you're working here today,
Right.
you're already thinking and trying to map out, where is this going to go? Where are the opportunities to grow this? Where are the opportunities to advance this and make it better? And you brought up the people. Your most important asset is your people.
Yeah.
You were good at reading your people.
Right.
And instead of focusing on, well, what they were weak at, you focused on their strength zones. You said, this person is really good at this. That's why they'd be good here. They might not have been the best delivery driver. They might not have been the best order taker.
Right.
But you know what? They had the artistic ability to put together a beautiful arrangement.
Right.
They knew which flowers to pick, put them in their strength zone, because when you're clear of what you expect, and you always are, and you always have high expectations because you do everything at that level, but you were clear with what you expected, but you put them in a place, in a position where they could succeed.
I tried to.
Not everybody's a quarterback.
Right.
They all want to be the quarterback, but you don't just get to walk around with the uniform and the QB on your sleeve. You have to be able to perform.
It's funny you say that, because everything leads back to sports. I started with baseball. Now you brought up a quarterback. Then we can go into basketball. I mean, no matter what it is, the one common denominator in it all is just one coach.
That's right.
And that one coach is what the owner is in a flower shop or any business. That's a person that's going to take all the credit and take all the blame. It's just the way it goes. Now,
think about a team, a
Right.
manager, a coach who gets fired.
Right.
But I will say this, unfortunately, everything rises and falls on leadership.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Leadership. You were mentioning that too. It's so important to have an identified plan for leadership, or to have people that have leadership skills, that they have good skills for leadership.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I just don't.
Is that us beeping or?
No, it's you. Oh, is that me? Is that me beeping? Maybe it is. All right. Yeah, Scott can edit that. Don't worry.
Okay,
All right. So right, leadership skills are really important, and you talk about that a lot. Identifying leadership skills.
You know, unfortunately, there's a lack of leadership in a lot of areas today. But you never heard somebody say there's too many leaders.
That's
right?
true.
Because the first person you have to lead is yourself. So everybody is a leader, and leadership is influence. You know, the leader has to set the vision and make the decisions, right?
Right.
So when you put people in their positions of strength, they come back to you, they're performing well, but then all of a sudden, what happens? You have to make the final call as the coach, as the owner, as the buck stops with you,
Right.
so to speak. And you talk about basketball. You look at Coach John Wooden, right? He had great players. Maybe they weren't always on the court because they didn't make the team better. They may have been a better athlete, but it's all the teamwork and how it all goes together.
That's so true. And in the flower shop, I came up with two words. In my opinion, these two words are your ticket to succeed. Exceed expectations.
Yeah.
I set the expectations, and if you could exceed them, that is what I'm looking for. And that's up to you. Are you going to go for that extra yard? Are you going to make that extra play? Are you going to try and take a chance? Or are you going to take the conservative route and not say anything or not stand up?
But that's where the value comes in.
Sure.
That's where the word value comes up.
Or you're not afraid to fail.
You're not afraid to fail, and you've always been out there on the cutting edge, so to speak, because you're not afraid to fail. And you know what? You never really fail. The only way you fail is if you don't learn from it.
You're always learning or you're succeeding.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. That's it.
That's that. I forgot to say that because I'm changing my mindset. We're so used to saying that, failing. And no, it's learning. It's when you don't learn that you fail.
And there's also the whole failing forward theory. You think everybody that got there, what was it, Edison said, I didn't fail 9,999 times. I just found 9,999 ways a light bulb wouldn't work.
Right. Great point. Great point. I had so many situations in the flower industry. I listened to florists. They're complaining. Let me give you an example. They have a problem right now. We have too many SKUs on our websites. It's like going to a restaurant with 10 pages on the menu.
Right.
You can only make so many dishes
to choose from.
The flower industry for the longest time has allowed us to just whatever price range arrangement you want, we'll make it for you. That works. Not when you have to have that many recipes. It used to be people would just say, "Oh, you make me a $50 bouquet. What do you think?" Sure, no problem. I'll make it. Is that enough? Should I go more? It's a feeling. It's a thought. What do you feel about? How do you like? What price are you comfortable with? I would tell people. What are you comfortable with? Clearly, nobody wants to spend money, but it's what are you comfortable with? You came into the flower shop with the thought of how much you want to spend. If I get you out of your comfort zone, I might have got you today, but I'm not earning your trust for tomorrow. You're going to be a little more on edge when you walk in the door. But if you tell me a ballpark of where you want to be, and I'm able to come up with a solution, now I'm earning your trust. See, I think earning trust is more important than anything.
Trust is important.
I play for trust every day. I tell my staff all the time, they come into work, I said, fail forward. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. If you're afraid to make a mistake, you're afraid to be successful.
You're gonna like this one because it goes back to sports.
Okay.
When I coached youth football, that was the first thing I would say, or I should say the last thing I would say is they were gonna go out onto the field.
Right.
And I'd say, guys, people are gonna make mistakes today, including me. It could be any one of us. But if you make a mistake trying to make a play, or if you make a mistake trying to do something, I'm never going to be upset. I'm never going to be angry. If you stand around and do nothing, that's the quickest way to get yourself out of the game.
That's it.
So if you're going to make a mistake trying.
I always felt like
I can always fix it and correct it.
I should have been coaching. We're coaching by nature. We really are.
Yeah.
Because we're passionate, we're driven, and I treat my team like that. Like when they do well, I high five everybody. I used to do test calls, and I would have my friend call from Bethesda, Tracy. He would call up and he'd pound on somebody pretty hard. I'm going to be getting married. I'm coming down, I'm staying at the Ritz. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. He built it up to be a good sized ticket. Is that agent going to offer a $29.99 special, or are they going to say $100, $200, $300?
Well, it's funny you say that because one of the reasons that I decided to get into coaching, I've been in these positions for a long time, 40 years. I mean, my whole life I've been in these positions. But one of the reasons I decided to get into coaching is because I see that we put people in positions, but what training do they have? Are we equipping our people to succeed?
That's a good point.
And because somebody did a great job doing something, whatever their job may have been, they did a great job at it. Now we move them up, we put them into management, or we let them run something. And then what happens? What training do they have? Isn't it our responsibility as the owner, as the coach?
There doing that? We're not doing it. We're at fault.
You need to equip your people. And I said, it's really not fair.
Yeah.
And I noticed myself being in the positions that I was in, we would promote people, put people in different places. And I say, but isn't it our responsibility as the leaders, whether it's the community, whether it's the business, it's your job and responsibility to equip your people. Because what I learned early on in the military was when you become the leader or the person in charge, doesn't mean I get to do less work and get more pay. It means now I'm responsible for everybody and everything that happens under me,
That's a great point.
right?
And I think in the flower industry, very few shops have a handbook. Very few. They don't have handbooks. So, oh,
Mm.
you're a designer, go make an arrangement. And now it's subjective. Well, I liked it. She didn't like it. He didn't like it. Maybe the customer liked it, but doesn't mean that it was designed properly. What are the standards? What should you be designing to? Like you saw the arrangement yesterday. We saw that beautiful
It was
vase
very
arrangement,
nice, yeah.
right? And then I started telling you about you can put curly willow. Like there's all these other layers of stuff you can do. So a designer comes in, you say, make me a dozen roses, 12 roses. They made you the dozen roses.
Right.
Now, a seasoned designer comes in and he takes a ball of curly willow, puts it in the vase, does a couple little additives to it, and creates and puts a few marbles at the bottom so you don't see the gobbledygook from the bottom of the vase of the stem. That's a seasoned designer. You got to teach that. You got to show that. You got to set the expectation to exceed it.
Well, that's why there's such a wide variety, right? In the quality and building the good foundation. Any business, any organization, you want that good foundation.
Right.
And by doing that, you're equipping your people, you're setting the standard. Now it's clear because most disagreements, most confusion happens because somebody wasn't clear.
Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Communication or
Yeah,
lack
it's all
of.
communication. Yeah, it's all about communicating with your people.
I love the industry. I do because I walk into a flower shop and I can identify holes the second I walk in, or I can identify a fine-tuned machine.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to know what the key ingredient is behind it all? People.
People.
Is there a manager looking over the front of the showroom? Is there a design manager looking after the consistency of the bouquets? Or are they just out there? I'll tell you, when I first expanded, we had 10 designers. We put them in the back and have 10 people make a $40 arrangement, Jack. Compact, large, this way, that way, up and down in the vase. Oh my God. I said, their version of a $40 arrangement was all correct within their eyes.
Right.
I needed to make the standard.
And how much waste was there?
Oh.
I remember you telling me that story when you would look around and say, well, what about this? What about
Like
that?
about the quarters that I threw?
Yeah, you started throwing change around and saying, okay,
I
what
walked
are we
in
going to
the
do about
store
this?
and I
What
took a
about
roll of
that?
quarters. I threw it out on the floor. And I can't tell you how quickly everyone jumped. They moved all the flowers aside. They moved around $75 cost flowers to get to the quarter. But they understood after that what I was talking about.
Right.
How many times do we make a beautiful bouquet? You look at your feet and you've got more flowers at your feet going into waste than you do in the arrangement. And then they tell me about, oh, I don't want to lose a flower. We can't. Oh, that's too much value in that bouquet. It's like the flowers, the moment they're cut, Jack, they're dwindling. The timer starts ticking.
Right.
It's losing money every day. The value is being lost every moment. Use them. Give it to a customer to enjoy before you're going to put them in a dump sheet. Let me tell you about that too. Accountability in the flower industry. There's no accountability. They bring a flower in. There's no. They don't.
Tracking, like they don't track
Not
the product.
tracking. They don't validate the date it was cut, when it was shipped. There's no history. The chain is not. There's no really chain of what it goes through before it gets to your store.
Oh, that's why there's such a wide variety of quality
Right.
when they go out, right?
Right. Because there's a process. The moment that it was cut to the time it gets in your store can sometimes be as much as 2 weeks.
Well, I think that was one of the things that you did as I
Cold
watched.
chain, that's what they would call it.
But as I watched you expand, you created processes.
Everything was a process.
You created
Everything.
processes.
Everything.
Before that was a big thing.
Everything. If your store doesn't have a process for everything that's being done, you're losing money. You're losing money because somebody's making a decision what they think is best, and they might be right, but then somebody else might be wrong. If you identify what it is that you expect, that's the expectation. Hopefully somebody exceeds it. 2 little words, exceeding expectations.
Yeah.
And that's it. So processes are a really big deal. Even For example, if somebody's making an arrangement and they make a mistake, they forgot the balloon, I go back to the person that signed off on it. So they get the order sent to them by the design manager. Jack, make this arrangement. You make it up, and then you give it back to me. I initial it, so I saw that it was what it was supposed to be, and I put it into the back. Now, if they say the balloon was missing, I come to the person that signed off on it. You're making the arrangement. You can make a mistake because you're constantly doing something. That person has to do nothing but look at it and say, balloon is on it, ribbons this way, this is that way.
Quality control.
Simple.
Standards.
Standards.
Again.
Standards. So everything is a system.
You said 2 words, exceeding expectations, right?
Right.
And you know what first pops into my head as you say those 2 words? Going back to sports, the Oakland Raiders, Al Davis, commitment to excellence.
There you go. That's a beautiful one. Yeah, I remember. I forgot about that.
And that one always comes back to me.
Yeah.
Commitment to excellence.
Commitment
now,
to
whether
excellence.
people like the Oakland Raiders or don't like the Oakland Raiders, I always remembered commitment to excellence.
In sports, you have rules, and in everything you can do around those rules is the edge that you create for yourself as a player. Where can you get an extra step? Where can you make an extra move? What can you do to get over on somebody within the rules?
Well, it's also the same theory as you see the product at the end, but you don't see all the work that goes into it behind the scenes. You see the gains, but you don't see all the work to get there. You don't see the hours.
Remember I told you my son playing baseball, college level?
Yeah.
5:30, he's got to go hit for an hour and a half, go to class, and then play another 6 hours of baseball. How do these kids get a job? How do you teach them anything but sports? I mean, but nobody realizes that. You see them playing college baseball. Oh, isn't that nice for playing baseball? Those kids are trained robots. They know. They have a playbook that shows you everywhere you need to be on every ball that's hit.
Yeah.
Everyone has to be somewhere.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I would think that too. I was like, if I'm sitting in right field and the guy passes first base and he's off,
where am I going with the ball?
I'm standing here. Right.
Where am I going with the ball?
Right. Or where am I going to go to back somebody up?
Who makes those decisions?
And that's made by the coach. The coach, and when the player takes it upon himself to be in the right place, that's one less thing the coach has to think about.
Right.
That's a coachable player that's got a value that you don't see in the scorecard.
Well, that's important to hire the right players too.
Well,
and that's another issue, right? In business and in sports, bringing in the right personnel,
right?
Bringing in the right people to do the job that fit well with the team.
And if you don't make those standards, then you can't do that. So as we were talking and moving along here, we realized that in digital, especially, again, when I go to a flower shop and I talk to them about their digital, and we've got all these plans to help them grow their business. The first thought out of the manager's name or the owner's name, the first thought out of the owner is, who can I let go of now that we have you? That's what started this whole thing. That's what I'm trying to say. No, don't get rid of anybody.
Right.
Let me pass the ball to them, or I have no one to throw to. What they want to do is say, okay, I'm paying Bloomerang, so let me get rid of somebody. Big mistake, because not only do I look after their success, I look after their costs. I look after how they answer the phone. Do they have a lost order log? Do you know how many people fight me on a lost order log, Jack? My point on a lost order log is if somebody calls you up every day between 2 and 4, what time you open till today? 4 o'clock. Okay, thanks. If that happens a couple times a week, the owner needs to see that there's a pattern, even if it's a few times a month, that people are asking what time you open, and there's a bit of a disappointment because you're closing at 4. That gives you the idea that maybe I need to be open a little bit longer.
Yeah, stay open till 5. Maybe I'll get those orders.
Well, to me, every flower shop should be a minimum of 6. At my shop, because people get out of work at 5.
Work, they're stopping on the way home.
Exactly.
Probably 7.
But ideally,
knowing you would be 8 or 9.
Well, no. Here's what I did. I told them they could work till 6, but I paid them till 6:15. I never want a customer at the door being told we're closed. I hate that.
That's happened to us, actually.
It has.
That's happened to us.
The scene that I make isn't something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Want to cut here?
Get that out.
What?
Yeah, let's cut.
What?
Let's cut for a second because I got to get.
Yeah, good. Look at that. I don't know if I can pause it or not. Yeah, do your thing.
Burn it.
Well, we can just let this run. And did we burn it? I thought you had it on to shut off. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Hey, listen, I'll leave it.
I'm good with it too. I'm fine.
I'll take it.
That's fine. How do I stop this? Well, I don't want to stop. Leave in session call leads to. Jack, I'm okay with it. I really am. I'm nibbling.
too.
Oh, we'll just nibble from the middle. That's all. Work our way back. Positive thinking, right?
That's it.
All right, Scott. I don't know where the pause is on this, so I'm just gonna let it keep running until.
You want me to jump back in while it cools off?
Yeah. We'll be wrapping. So I'm going to your coaching. So we had to take a quick pause because we burned a pizza. So while we're cooling that off, we can keep talking. You know, isn't that just the way things go? Like, so we're talking, we
Yeah.
said we'll have a little pizza, and then we're still talking, and neither one of us know when to pull the
Still
plug, and the
going.
pizza burns. What is that the end of
Because
the
when
world?
you're going, you're in the
You're
zone.
in the
You
zone.
get in the zone.
You don't want to
but
stop.
You can't
And
break the momentum.
right.
Momentum creates energy.
It does. It does. Momentum creates energy. I like that one. So as we're talking and going back and forth, we talk about sports. We talk about what I'm doing. First, he sees me dealing with flowers all the time. But what was behind flowers was an executable plan. Always be available. Remember, a customer has a choice. Nobody needs flowers. They choose to buy flowers. You got to make it as easy as possible. So back to being open at 4 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. If you're not open, you're not committed as far as I'm concerned, because somebody else is open. And why risk your customer going to the shop down the street? Nobody's that confident thinking they'll never go anywhere else. We were told we were told we had 70% market share in Sarasota. 70. I was really proud of that. I didn't know how to get to that number, but I do know one thing: one customer at a time. We never said no. I did the Yes We Can program, where the goal was to always say yes. But company owners are like, "Whoa, these are our rules. These are our guidelines." The customer doesn't care about your guidelines. That's not for the customer. That's for you.
That's in every industry. How many times do you hear that?
Drives me crazy because they say our policy is this. I said, listen, I need a product. I need you to make this work. Why does it take a white shirt to come over and make a common sense decision? That's when the manager has to be pulled into it. So a couple points. I think it's important that you empower your employees to do whatever they have to do. If you're the type that has to have a number on that, say $200 value, $100 value. Give them a value of how much you'll allow them to go out of their way, comp an arrangement, or whatever.
Use discretion, sure. Discretion.
Right. Now, the customer walks out of the door happy, no one's in trouble. That's what I used to always say. But write down what you did. So maybe if you overdid it, we'll talk about that for the next order. We never made one transaction, Jack, that made a difference by the next day, never mind the next week or the next year. Who can remember one transaction in the course of a year? It's not important, but the customer experience will stay with them forever. Just one mistake and they'll hold on to it.
They'll remember the negative experience for sure.
It's so bad. So again, exceeding expectations. Now we got Valentine's Day coming up, and I'm getting everyone ready starting tomorrow. Like, I want people to be training their staff. I made a training video. I make training scripts for them to keep. We're doing an AI program now where we're blasting out information on AI. So whenever people are doing searches, Valentine, anything related, we want our shops to be mentioned, because AI builds awareness of your brand. A lot of people don't realize that. It's not like a regular search engine, like where they just get keywords and they show up. They want to know your brand. They want to know how you connect with everything in the world, and whatever they think makes sense, they will bring it together. That's why so many people go on AI and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, they're associated with this. I had no idea. Somewhere they found it on the internet. So with Valentine's Day coming up now, my thought is we've got to get everyone with their staff trained, because all these guys are going to come over. I'm supposed to send flowers. I don't know what to do. Like, they got to know how to handle that conversation. They got to know how to handle the card message. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, if they're leaving everything open, you've got the chance to sell whatever you want, which should be what's called a designer's choice. Let me go back to my point, and I'll wrap it up after that, was when Tracy would call up and do what, did I miss something?
No. I don't know if that camera's getting it, but I should have closed it.
Oh, it's okay. So here's the other thing. Back to the point of, where was I now?
Designer.
The designer.
Tracy.
Okay, Tracy would call up. I'm going to the Ritz-Carlton. My wife I'm going to be there at my 10th anniversary, something very special. Going to the Ritz, indicators. He's coming down from vacation. He's going to the Ritz. He's going to spend some money. Are you going to send them a $30 arrangement? Or are you going to open up 75 to 100, 200, whatever you're comfortable with? And when they did that, Jack, that was a hit. Home run, walk off, call it what you want. When I got done with that call, though, I came out to the front. I said, hey, if I get a call for an arrangement for their, they were excited. Like, I want for them chocolates, I want for them roses, I want for the, I think I got a big sale coming up. And then they heard it was me. Oh, that was you testing me? And I went up to them, I dropped $20 on their table. $20. I said, nice job. And I high-fived them.
Yeah, that's great.
But what do you think?
They were key indicators.
Right.
You were listening.
Right. I was listening for the indicators.
But they were listening too.
Right.
For the key indicators from the customer.
And guess what?
Training.
But guess what that did though? It got everybody else wanting to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
I made 10 more great agents now because like I want to get that result. I want them to high five me. I want $20.
Yeah.
So what happens? Every agent now is doing great on every call. So if you take anything from this podcast and you don't train your staff, which we wish you would, just make every experience exceptional, exceed the expectations, not only of your customer, but of your staff, of your dispatcher, of your designer. Everyone does something or they can do something to exceed expectations. And this kind of, I'll close it with your coaching because just recently you started telling me about coaching.
Yes.
Tell me more about how you segued into that because clearly you've been doing it a long time, whether it's formally that or not. But now you're doing executive coaching. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's really just a need. I saw it and I recognized that there was a need for it because people don't have the skills. You could be the greatest engineer, you could be the greatest worker, whatever your position may be. But then when you're asked to lead other people, what experience do you have? And every position that I've been in, I've been responsible for other people. So I think that's how I was able to recognize it. And I thought, how unfair is it that we put people in there, we set these expectations of them, but are we giving them the tools to succeed? And that was one of the things that I was always a proponent of at every position that I've been in. Put people where they have the best chance to succeed. It used to drive me nuts when people would say, well, they're really not that good at it, but we put them over there.
Why?
Well, why would you do that? But you're hurting yourself, your own organization.
The catcher's in center field.
Yeah. And then, again, everybody wants to be the pitcher, the quarterback.
Right.
They want to be,
shortstop.
The shortstop. They want the glory, but that's not everybody.
Right.
That's not everybody. So I really feel that any organization to grow and go forward, you need to put the people in the right position. And it's a responsibility.
And this is for any industry.
And in every industry,
right,
to equip your people. That's why many people can even go to different industries. I mean, you went all through flowers, and now
right,
you're still in flowers, but you're in digital. You brought your experience from there.
It's all about the people.
You hit that and became influential throughout the industry. Now you're sharing your knowledge, and isn't that another great feature?
Yeah.
When you have all this knowledge and experience, and you get to share it with others, and you get to help other people
succeed.
Very rewarding. It's rewarding.
It's rewarding.
And then what do? By you helping them, you're creating more success because then they get to influence people.
True.
And they get to help people succeed.
When I get the messages back saying, we've never been up this high before, thank you for your help, and this has never happened before, I wish the rest of the shops would hear that. Because they want to think, oh, art just grew into Beneva Flowers, is always what it was. It was zero. There was nothing there. It was an empty store. We opened up 1,000 square foot. Beneva. Why Beneva? It's the name of the road.
Yeah.
That was all we did. But there was no magic potion. It was just a matter of passion, perseverance, exceeding expectations. Customer walked out. Do you have a dozen roses? Sure. Can you still deliver that? If I've got a car, I can deliver it. Why do I want to overcomplicate
the deliveries yourself? I remember you
always
running out doing deliveries.
Always. My son did deliveries, and all florists can tell you the stories. The old-time florists, they remember back in the day. Everyone made deliveries. It was the easiest thing to do. And then you get to see people's face, the look on people's faces when they get flowers.
Yes.
That doesn't do it for you. What does? I mean, everyone's thrilled to see you. So, and then now Valentine's Day coming up, I just hope that that whoever needs to hear these points, whether you're in executive coaching, whether you're in a flower shop now, the people that bought my website back in the day, they flew me to their stores. I worked in 70, remember back when I was on the road all the time?
All the time, yeah.
I was going to their shops. I was coaching. I was putting together teams. I was watching how the store ran, and I can get a feel. Next thing you know, within 2 days, that store was turned around. But they need follow up. They need people constantly helping them because marketing never stops. There's always new angles. I mean, back then there was just a few ways to market. Now there's no more yellow pages. There's no more newspapers. Now it's digital. It's Google. Next is AI. What's going to be next around the
There
corner?
is no finish line.
There isn't.
As long as
It's
you're
all a
in,
journey.
there's no finish line. It is a journey, and I know that you feel that way. And you've even made the comments when you start believing your own press,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we just talked about that
When you
today.
feel you've arrived,
Yes.
you might be done.
Remember that.
Because
When
you
you guys
need
think
to
you have the
continue to
answers,
grow.
when you say my business card, you're like, where's that card I gave you? I remember I got my first time on my business card, I put www.beneva.com. Next thing you know, guy says to me, old timer, son, you got a lot to learn. That's cute, but nobody's going to buy flowers off a computer screen. Really? Well, I believe that they just might. Even if I'm wrong, what's it going to hurt to put the URL on the card?
Right.
The next thing, QR codes. How many people put a QR code on a business card and they send them to the URL? They put a QR code. Why? It's like putting the code, the URL in there twice. So I send them over to YouTube. And on YouTube, it says, hi, I'm Art. What'd you expect? And I start talking about digital. Wouldn't you think that would be catchy for you as a florist? All your design managers, all the people that meet up with brides and do the consulting, hand them a card that introduces you to the potential client and make about a 15-second recording on YouTube. It's all free. Put the code on the card and you got a nice presentation, one that shows you're on top of technology too. Little things like that. You don't have to spend a lot of money to look really good and to show people that you really care. That was good, Jack. Thanks for doing this. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, all these years we've been together. We speak, we finish each other's sentences left and right. And what we have in common, police officer, retailer, entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneurial spirit, but it's all where we're put and we do the best with what we have. I was a bus driver at one time as well. Sold hot dogs, weenies on wheels, Dogaholic discount card, buy 8, get 1 free from our hot dog stand back at home. There's always something you can spin on any opportunity that you're put in. Don't ever think that where you are today is where you have to be tomorrow. That's the best message I can give.
Yeah,
So tell them about your coaching, how they can reach you also for coaching, executive coaching, contact information.
Yeah, Accuro Enterprises, AccuroEnterprises.com. We do coaching. We help with personal growth, leaders and aspiring leaders who want to grow personally and professionally, whether they want to do it as individuals or as an organization. That's what we specialize in.
Great. And we'll have that number on the screen here. And Jack, thanks again, buddy.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. That'll wrap it up. I need some closing music.
Yeah.
Something catchy. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for more. And like and subscribe to all that we do everywhere you see us every day, if you could.